I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to try out Daniel Smith's dot chart. Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and welcome. It's a bit of a celebration at Alan Hudson today and we're celebrating Mother's Day, so I'm making a card to share for that. I'm going to be doing some no-line watercolouring today, and when I say no line, I actually mean like there are really light lines. You just can't see the lines in the end. And I've got this Daniel Smith's dot chart. It's 66 colours. It's the extra fine watercolour one, and it says 3 easy steps. Wet your brush, apply the wet brush to one of the watercolour dots, and then put your brush with the paint to the paper and see the beautiful colour for yourself. What could possibly go wrong? So I'm doing exactly what it says. I'm working on some watercolour cardstock here. I've stamped out my image with the fade out ink. I'm using a silver brush, so I've got all the Posh products here, and I thought I might as well use some of the Posh paints as well. These brushes are very nice to use. I don't use mine very often because I keep them for good. But I don't really think it would be a good idea just to use them for my normal ink paints and things like that. I feel like I'm still a real beginner with watercolouring, and this for me and for someone who just wants to have a play with quote unquote real paint, real artist quality paint, these dot charts are absolutely perfect because you get so many different colours. So if you're not sure what colours you actually think you might like, you can actually try, like in this chart, 66 different ones. But also for the fact, like, if you don't know if you want to invest in like a whole tube of paint, if you don't even think you're going to like it, you can actually create many cards just using this one chart, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, so what I've been doing here is, as it said, picking up the paint with my wet brush and then just adding it to my image. I initially started trying to mix my colours together while they were wet, and I wasn't really happy with the colours that my succulent was coming out. I feel like I have more control when I'm doing the watercolour glazing technique. So actually lay down a flat colour on the base and then come in after that's dry and add more layers on top. And I've been practicing this technique recently, but I thought I'd give watercolour charging a go, which is where I mix the two colours while they're wet. My problem is I keep playing with it too much, and because I haven't actually swatched out these colours on the chart, because I'm just playing with the colours as I'm taking them off, I'm sort of just winging it here. I do like to refer to my colour swatches because you can't really tell what they look like when they're little blobs on the paper. So it's at about this point where I thought I didn't like it at all. You know, there's always a point when you're colouring, and I find especially with watercolour, I go, I just don't like it, and you want to throw it away, but don't do it. I promise you, you can push through. Sometimes it just takes a break, maybe just walk away and come back. I would suggest just to keep adding layers and letting it dry. Another thing that I do, I didn't do it today, but another thing that you can do is come back and add pencils over top later to add some details. If you don't feel confident with just the watercolouring for adding your layers and depth and details, then pencils. They work really well together. I kept the packaging off to the side and would refer to that if I kind of got lost, especially when it came to that smaller succulent with those tiny leaves. Not that it really matters because you're really not going to see the lines, and I just didn't want to end up with a big blob, and that did help me. Alright, like I said, I was going to create a scene today, and I thought I'd create a tiled floor. So I drew some simple lines in just with a pencil and pretty much erased most of the lines, because if I leave the pencil underneath the paint and you can see it, you can't erase it. It becomes permanent. So if it was a very light, only I could see it. Once I painted the lines or painted the tiles down, you couldn't see it at all. So I did actually come in and add a second layer just to give those tiles a bit more depth and add sort of a ridge. You know how those tiles have those inner ridges on there as well. So I have the heat tool from Wow, which has the 2 settings on it, which is great. So it has like a low heat setting, which is really helpful to help things dry a bit quicker between layers. I don't use it all the time because I do like the way that things naturally dry, but if I am a bit time pressed, I will use it. Or if I'm getting impatient, I will use it as well. And I did come in with the black here and add quite a bit of detail to these plants, and also some of the darker browns to add some depth to the dirt. And I think just adding those shadows really can make such a difference on an image like this. So I encourage you just to give it a try and have a bit of fun. What could possibly go wrong? Alright, so I added a sentiment today. I white heat embossed it on black. I know. And I grabbed it from the succulent sentiment set, which matches perfectly with these succulent stamp sets from Julie. And then I just popped the actual panel. I did cut it down and added it directly to a top fold portrait card, and then I could just pop my sentiment up on the front. So don't forget to head to my blog, and I'll have the links there to let you see what everyone else has created today for Mother's Day. We're going to have to remember our mums out there this year and send them lots of love. And because it's for Mum, I thought I should add a little bit of glitter. And this is the Lawn Fawn glitter pen. I just added it to the edges of some of the succulent leaves, and I also added some clear droplets. So if you liked this video today, please give it the thumbs up to let YouTube know that you did. And if you haven't already, I'd really like it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I love every visit that you make here. I really do appreciate it. So till next time, happy paper crafting and happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. Bye.